All right, greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Good to see you. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Excuse me. Friday. It's a Friday. We got like a week and a couple of days until the election, so well, that's exciting, isn't it? Come on, guys. Get excited. Go out and rock the vote, bros. If that's what you want to do. I'm actually I don't know, man. I'm so busy. I haven't even looked at any ballots or anything. I kind of know a couple of the things that are on the ballot, like locally, that I'm interested in finding out more about. But golly gee willikers, I am slammed to the wall. I spend so much time doing a show about politics that I don't even know what's going on my ballot. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? But what's up, people? Pull up a chair or don't. Pull up a phone, hang out. Going to talk about a few things. We'll do a chat at the end of the show, a little chat session. If you want to contribute to the show, you know how to do that. All the links are in the description box. Those are the very, 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 very best ways to contribute to the show. If you're contributing on one of the platforms, we're live on Rockfin, Rumble, and on YouTube. Please like and subscribe and all that. But please try to refrain from donating to the show on those platforms because they take basically all the money that you donate. So that's not really very fun, is it? It's not fun for anybody. Not very fun for anybody. Oh, geez. All right, let's get into it. This is from Jeff McFarlane. Just an interesting post. I'm seeing cracks in the blue line of the Democrat. People who are interested in the environment, people who are environmentally aware and savvy, but are not necessarily supporting. I mean, generally, I'm not talking about this crowd. You guys are mostly hip to the game. You can hear the dog. Yes, you can. Most of y'all are hip to the game, but I'm seeing cracks publicly on people that support, generally the people who are environmentally aware of climate change people, they are Democrats, and they are sometimes rabidly Democratic. I don't know why my dog is barking so much. They just get super excited. It's the dog next door is a barker, and that just makes my dog go, oh, you know what? I love barking too. Most people on the environment side are rabidly Democratic, with a few exceptions, but there seems to be more cracks showing. Adam McKay is one person I can think of. Well, Jem Bendell was one of the first, and I haven't seen any posts from Jem Bendell in a while. Has anybody seen Jem Bendell out on the Twitter streets, or did he get booted off again? Did he leave? What happened to Jem Bendell? I never see his posts anymore. But that's how the algorithms are a little bit backwards. Speaking of fake news, um, right? The algorithms are supposed to show you things that you're interested in. Generally, that's how it goes, right? Oh, you like these posts? We'll show you more. But sometimes it works in the opposite direction, right? If you like somebody, you interact with them, and they're kind of like in your vibe, and but if they don't like what either of you are saying, or they don't like the connection, they're like, no, absolutely not. You guys will not. We will make sure you never see this person's post, and that happens like all the time. So I'm like, it's kind of it's like the GPS these days is like doesn't work anymore for saving you time or sending you down uh, clogged up streets. I'm so absolutely enraged by this right now. That like every time I get a GPS to go somewhere, like basically I have to go, is this a trap? And 80% of the time it's a trap. If I follow the GPS, I'll get led into this road that's completely like filled with cars, and there's like construction, and there's a lane closed, and I can't get out, and I'm trapped. And I'm like, mother, you guys, this is what you're supposed to help me avoid. This is what GPS is supposed to do. Hey, there's a roadblock up here. Hey, there's construction. Hey, this is super clogged over here. And instead of sending people in other directions, they send everybody down the same road, so it gets extra super clogged. Like, this is the opposite of what it's supposed to do for you. You understand that your technology is now completely effing useless, just like Google, right? As Google is a hide engine, not a search engine. Can I really find what I'm looking for on Google? Yeah, half the time, no. Technology is going to make itself obsolete by being stupidly controlled, in order to whatever it is that they're trying to do with it. I don't know what. I don't understand the traffic thing. Like, they're sending everybody down the same clogged road. So in order to actually get where you need to go, you kind of have to know a little bit of what's going on, but also just expect that you're walking into a trap and just go, nope, not at all. I'm going in a completely different direction. I'm going to make my own route to where I'm going so that I do not get stuck in this like insane situation. But that happened to me like 3 times yesterday, and I was like, what the bloody hell is going on? Help me out here. Somebody help me out. Anyways, oh, what was I saying? Anyway, so hide engine algorithms working backward. That's what I was on. I was on something. Um, formerly liberal / democratic environmentalists becoming disenchanted with the Democrats. Welcome to the club for good reason, right? Oh, golly gee willikers. You don't say. Trump or Harris, which one is the better candidate for climate? This is Jeff McFarland. Well, considering Harris's administration is helping to commit a genocide in Gaza, destabilizing the entire world, I have no idea why anyone would vote for her. That it's man, so much is said in that post because they're trying to make it about things that like, the climate, which is always the go-to for Democrats. But if you actually know what the Democrats are up to, you know that neither candidate is good for the climate. So, especially not the ones that they're giving you. So that's not a reason. So scratch that. And then there's the fact that this administration is pursuing genocide in Gaza, supporting. And that might be enough, that's not, voting for Trump might actually further that end too. So scratch that. if you're a Trump fan. What to do? Oh my God, what to do? And all all the Democrats have left in their bag is, Trump is Hitler, which didn't seem to go, as far as I can tell, um, from listening to others speak on this, and from the fact that so far there hasn't been as I played that clip for you yesterday, and I was like, okay, they're trying to get a reaction or gauge the reaction to this to see if they can like pursue it more. And it seems like most people were like, shut up. Shut up. You with your dumb Hitler stuff. It didn't really it hasn't really had any traction. So I don't think that's going to go very well, or at least that line of argument. Nobody cares now. Just like nobody cares about Trump's, and there's a lot of evidence to point to the fact that Trump, probably did some, very inappropriate sexual things, over his lifespan. Nobody cares. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying nobody cares. Try again. There was a Babylon Bee or one of those fake news story posts about 84-year-old lady accuses Trump of fondling her on the Titanic, which is, and if you mix enough fake allegations in with the real ones, then it is hard to know what to believe. And I don't know that I don't know that what they're trying to do is going to rescue this campaign. I'm talking about the Harris campaign. There's just too much. There's just too many people going, come on. And it's just not, I know this is a kind of a broken record, but we're getting close to the election. We'll see. They just came out and announced, maybe I should show you a story on that. I know that all the swing states are now going for Trump. So it's, and broken record again, I called this right when Biden won 4 years ago. I called it out of my little old brain. I was like, you know what? This is great. They love this shit. They need this. They need 4 years of demonizing Trump, and Trump's going to come back and run again, and right, and there's just kick the can, and Trump will win, and all the Democrats will lose their minds again. Oh my God! And we're probably going to have more impeachments and investigations, and I don't know. 4 years of headlines. Oh my God! What did Trump do this time? Oh my God! Right, and then then they can put up another terrible Democrat as the only answer to Trump's the crazed Trump still inhabiting the White House. We must get, who knows. It'll just go on and on. It's the perfect way to just kick the can on anything important down the road another 10 years. Unfortunately for us, for all of us. But yeah, so, it looks like Trump is going to smash it. Speaking of climate, Steve Austin, did I even show you that? I didn't even show you that tweet. Yeah, I don't know if you cared. I was just reading it. Steve Austin says, stop laughing. They mean it this time. They mean it this time. Crunch time for real. UN says time for climate delays has run out. It doesn't mean that climate change isn't. It's the time to do something was 30 years ago. The time to do something now is, I don't know what. Sell your house in Florida, according to Ben Shapiro. I mean, if you haven't already sold your house in Florida, you should get on that. You should really get on that. If you haven't sold your house in Florida, you should really get on that. Or in the Carolinas, or where, whatever, wherever if you're in a danger zone. If you live in New Orleans, you own a house, if you haven't sold your house on the coast in Galveston, you better get on that. Because that's about the biggest point of climate mitigation you're going to be able to do. Figuring out where you're going to drive your van to and maybe set up shop when wherever it is that you live has been washed away. That's climate mitigation right there. But as far as like saving the planet from a hostile environment that we have wrought upon ourselves, no chance. No chance. But, I heard somebody was saying Michael Mann was out on the television saying, "We gotta vote for the Democrats, like, to save the planet." If you still have faith in Michael Mann and what he has to say about the climate, maybe it's time to hang that one up. Just a suggestion. Don't have to do what I say. Anyways. Crunch time for real. That's what the UN is saying about climate change. Better get on it. I mean, and you got, the audience is from the show is probably more on it than most, right? There's some people that used to hang out here. They don't hang out here anymore because I'm afraid that they're, I don't know. TDS ate their brain, and so they couldn't watch my show anymore. But hopefully they'll come back when they're over that, when they get, take a pill or something. Or hopefully they're okay. But there's been quite a few people. This man is yelling at you through the screen. You can't hear what he's saying, but you will in a second. There's been quite a few people through the years who have watched the show who are, off grid, already way off grid. Haven't seen Jazz Farm in a while. I don't know what's up. Where's Jazz Farm? Way off grid people, or maybe he's watching silently. Who knows? People who grow the food and do right, and then they're all already like way ahead of climate mitigation, even though it gets harder to do that, doesn't it? When things are topsy-turvy as far as the climate. Let's listen. This guy has something funny to say about Kamala not knowing what her own policies are, which is true. Again, just being able to say it, speak on policies and throw things out there that might get people's interest is, I don't know, 300% better than whatever Kamala's doing. Just go to my website and you'll see. I don't know what's on there, but just go to my website.
At this damn point, this a full-fledged comedy fucking movie. Your vice president just got on live television yesterday and said, even though she's been studying and debating all this motherfucking time, and she's been in office all this fucking time, she still gotta go study the goddamn policies again before she give you a direct answer. Before she ever tell you anything, she gotta go study that shit again while she fucking in office. You can't make this cartoon ass movie shit up. You can't make this shit up. This bitch is retarded. She don't answer questions. Every last one of y'all that's following this bitch
Dang.
It's retarded.
Language.
And
sir.
they're gonna keep going gaslight you, talk about the lesser of two evils. Well, the lesser of two can fucking complete a fucking sentence. Can answer one fucking question. One. I'm asking for one fucking answer to anything. This bitch go all the way around. All we know about is she was a middle class fucking child, and we did it, Joe. That's all the fuck we know about this bitch.
He's upset. Clearly. And that, that is really, I play this to just show you what the mood is around the country. I know there's plenty of people that are like, if you follow Questlove, and I like Questlove, but, awesome drummer, hell of a human being, but he is such a Kamala simp, and I'm sure he's getting some, if you're that popular, you're either required to on some level, on some, backroom level, to have to like run the ads for Kamala, countering every, negative thing. It's just like embarrassing. I'm just like, Questlove, man, stop it. There's people out there that will give you all the whys and the wherefores, why, Trump is evil and Kamala's the best and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, the mood of the country is like, all right, whatever. Y'all know this. We'll but what we have is like fake news on fake news on fake news story. They're just still trotting all the fake stuff out there. Trying to do the last minute, like, maybe they think it's going to work. I don't know. I think people are kind of over it, over the fake news and the fake media and the fake news, the fake media, and the fake, like, there's so many things that go along with this statement. Like there was a new Trust in Media article out. It says that, Trust in Media is down. Just 22% of people. I'll show you this. Just 22% of people what was I just looking at here? What was the thing I was just looking at? Sorry. Well, we'll look at this for a second. This was a big news story a couple days ago. Younger Americans are more trusting of the information they see on social media, while Republicans are far less trusting these days of national news outlets. Republican trust in media is now at 37%. Democrats trust information from national news outlets 78%. And just goes to show you the Dunning-Kruger effect is probably stronger in the people that think that they're smarter. It is true. These motherfuckers are more gullible. Sorry. If you're a Democrat that watches national news and you're like, yelp, you're gullible. I'm sorry. Just, own it. If you're mad about that, just like shake it off and like go, oh, geez, maybe I should be a little more skeptical. They lie like all the time. They lie like rugs. They are the purveyors of misinformation. They are the pew pew pewers of misinformation. They shoot it out every day, hoping they'll catch people. Really? And people are watching it going, yeah, really? Okay, that's weird. Get off the TV already, please, and get off the New York Times is like one of the biggest liars in the country. Like, don't and Reuters and AP and dish and dish and all that. They're they disseminate whatever the CIA tells them is the new hot story every day in order to get you to believe it. And when you believe it, then you are the useful what? Idiot. Anyways, just 22% of people 65 and over trust what they see on social media. Well, that probably is. Yeah, so that's interesting news. I guess there's a wide divide. Did you like that? Of people who understand what's going on a little more than others who don't understand what's going on because they are super into the authoritative sources or people who are in authority. They believe that people who are in authority are there because they're, moral, well-meaning, hardworking people, and that's not the case. Usually people who are in positions of authority, the higher up you go, the more corrupt, deceitful, psychopathic you are. That's the case. It's unfortunate but true. You wonder why like really smart, good, honest, hardworking individuals never get a break or are always like down and out because they're not willing to sell their souls to get ahead, or they're not willing to look the other way, or they're not willing to go like, oh well, whatever, I don't care, I need this money. I really want this position, what do I got to do? Well, okay, I'll do it. It's not all the time. I'm making a broad generalization, okay? So, I understand. Sometimes there are good, well-meaning, hardworking people out there that are quite successful. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Sometimes there are very hardworking, well-meaning people out there who are successful, like, totally. But the whole, people in authority or people who are in places of authority are the oracles of truth and morality is not only incorrect, it's just wrong and it's just dumb and naive to believe that. Come on now. And trusting a politician, what a politician says is, writing the joke yourself. I think that's why climate change people tend to be toward like Democrats slash liberals because, or they have tended, and it seems like that's a little bit. It's kind of breaking apart a little bit. That classification because it's like the trust the science crowd. But when you understand that all the institutions are fundamentally corrupt and they're pushing, you know, corporate science or pseudoscience dressed up as a corporate, corporations funded this thing, or fund this college or fund this study or fund these labs, and they do it for nefarious purposes, right? For, pocket lining, self-serving purposes. Well, then trusting the science is not doesn't really hold any, what science are you trusting? Which are you, it's hard to know. But if you think that corporate funded science is the one to trust, again, The joke writes itself. Okay. More crazy stuff, crazy fake news stories that they're pumping out there to try and get some last ditch, or they're trying to Keith Olbermann says we need to arrest and detain Elon Musk immediately. That's funny. Oh, why am I here? Sorry. I don't know why this is over here. I'm in the wrong spot. We need to arrest and detain Elon Musk immediately. He's operating on behalf of Russia. Keith Olbermann. Who would have? Oh, that's all he has in his playbook of anything is he's still Russia. He's still running the Russia. He's still trying to Russiagate people. They are Russian operatives. All right. Are we over that already? We're still doing that? It's 2024. We're still doing that? Cancel all contracts, seize his facilities, lock him away in a military facility now, POTUS, not tomorrow. All right, Keith Olbermann. Dude, you need help. You need medication, sir. But he's a useful tool in the toolbox of trying to fool people into believing certain narratives. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk is super duper sus. But do you think they're going to cancel all his contract? Dude, is now the public-private partner, in so many ways of the government on so many levels, and it's just, and he's, I'm sure, part of the right. Lots of people have outlined how he's, kind of part of the whole what's it called, the backdoor freedom movement. The people that are like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and all these folks who are all, they're all big parts of Donald Trump's campaign, which Whitney Webb has, outlined, and other people. But she's done, she's talked about this a lot extensively, right? How they're, all these tech people are now jumping on Donald Trump's train, because they're part of this, basically overarching plan to roll out some things that the Democrats might not be able to roll out, right? But if everybody's behind Trump and Elon Musk and this freedom movement, then you can do the switcheroo, whenever they decide to flip the switch and go oh yeah, you know what, you're gonna need an ID now. You're gonna need an internet ID to get on the internet now. That's freedom, bros. And also these CBDCs are also really cool. We have a really bad economic meltdown, and the way, Trump oversaw the biggest upward transfer of wealth in the CARES Act during COVID. And nobody blinked. Nobody batted an eye. Right? He didn't bat an eye. He was like, here you go. And so, if there's an economic meltdown, Trump gets elected, there's a huge economic meltdown, and they're like, he's the guy, he's going to get us out of this. And he's like, well, here's my ideas. And then one of them might be, we're going to roll out this Fed Now coin. We've been working on it, or the World Coin, or whatever it is. I think it's a good idea, everybody. I love crypto, right? He's a crypto. Trump is a fan. People like Trump's crypto-ness. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm just laying out possible scenarios of maybes. It's okay to do that. Let's see what else is going on. So that's Keith Olbermann losing his mind again. Does anybody listen to that guy anymore? Does anybody care what he has to say? I mean, maybe a couple of people. Oh, not this. I didn't. Well, okay. We can. Jeff Bezos says space will be humanity's home again. Sarah Connor says these people are wild. I actually want to reuse Steve Austin's comment, which is "Stop laughing." Sure. Headline is all you need to read about that. We're going to space. Everybody. Oh no, not you. Not you. Not you. Just the super powerful, wealthy, connected people are going to space. Not you, pal. Sorry. Oh yeah, I know. You can't afford yeah. Everything you can't afford to eat, and you can't even grow food because the climate's wrecked. Oh, that sucks, man. Sorry to hear that. Well, we're going to space. Ha ha. They're going to try, I guess. I don't know if they're going to make it. We're looking at like just the goofiest news stories today. And goofy clips. This is hilarious, says Glenn Greenwald. CNN every day pretends they and the Dem Party are the sole defenders of democratic values. When an intruder points out that Kamala received 0 votes to become the Dem nominee, other than Obama and Pelosi's, they all go wild about how it doesn't matter. Right. Oh, that's fine. If you wonder what, and then you wonder, like, don't be mad at like people pointing out how terrible Kamala is. Be mad at how terrible the Democratic Party is, that they can't even. They're so inept and corrupt, of course, on purpose. As people have pointed out, they're so inept and corrupt that that they can't even offer a real opposition to Trump or whoever. And they won't. And every time somebody comes up that has a glimmer of like, listen to they run them, they co-opt them or run them out of town on a rail, or they. Anyways, he points out that the Dems are super dirty, and they're like, what? The Dems are super dirty, man. And it's not even a contest of like who's dirtier. The Republicans are, they both really suck, but like, anyways.
I would like to introduce the concept of the panel tonight. It's going to be a short dissertation, but I want you to think about this because I watched like you did yesterday, and something hit me pretty hard. Only 90 days ago, Pelosi went to Biden and said, you need to step aside, and convinced him to do so. He made the decision, and he did actually ask her, and we've now learned this, is she the right person to drive this home? He questioned that. He could have said, we need to run a process in order for me to make this move. But they decided not to. I don't know who they is. Was it Obama? Was it Pelosi? I don't care who it was. In stock picking, just listen to this analogy. And you may agree, you may not. 88% of managers, this is the world I live in, cannot beat the S&P year in, year out. So you give them $1,000, the S&P beats them. They can't pick stocks. This is the second time the Democratic Party has circumvented democracy and chose.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Hillary
Clinton
was chosen, and she had Bruce Springsteen too. And what happened to her? And now we've chosen.
Kevin, Hillary Clinton won a primary. Okay, she won a primary. You may not.
Nobody could compete with her, even Bernie Sanders.
She won a primary.
Okay.
First of all, that's the first.
So
thing.
did Kamala Harris win a primary?
Listen, we've talked about this before.
What's wrong about talking about it tonight after what you just saw?
Do you think that's really what matters to voters?
Right now.
How many Democrats wish?
Your whole shtick has
Hang
been,
on a second.
let's talk about what matters to voters. Do you really think voters care about the internecine primary process?
If you're a Democrat, you sure as hell care today.
I know that you are from Canada. But the primary process.
That's why I'm
the primary
perfect for this.
process in this
I have no
country
skin in the game
is
other
not
than
in
to
the
get a great
Constitution.
president.
It's not in the Constitution. The political parties can choose however they want to choose their nominee.
Right.
And as long as they meet the legal deadlines in the states where they are on the ballot, they can do it however they
Yeah,
want.
but I
They
just
can
want to be
decide December
transparent.
2023.
Yes, I was
They
born
can
in
decide
Canada,
in
but
December 2023 to just handpick somebody.
just to
They don't
be
even have to have a
transparent,
primary.
I was
It's
born in
just
Canada.
not a
It's a
thing.
Democratic Party
It's not a
process,
thing.
not a Democratic.
No, but my kids were born and raised in Boston. All my investments in the United States. I want the president, whoever it is, to be
You're
a winner.
describing something as undemocratic that has absolutely nothing to do with the democratic
And this is
process.
why America.
Okay, so she just made no sense. Yeah. Anyways, whatever. If you watch that clip and you think that is any of those people have on the CNN side, that are trying to shout him down, if you think that they have anything like worthwhile to say to you, like, again, come on now. He pointed out, and that's exactly what happens when you point out that somebody is a lying, cheating, psychopathic jerk. They go wild. They lose their minds, right? Like if you say, hey, you guys, yeah, I'm just pointing out that, like, what you said there was completely false and wrong, and what you say you stand for is completely like a bunch of bullshit. And you point out to people their flaws or their character flaws, and they just, if they lose their minds like that, no, then I mean, whatever. That's the point. That's what they do. That's what they're hired to do, is to act like psychopaths. Like that's what all politicians are doing. Any of the politicians that are still, especially the ones that are running the show, they are experts in gaslighting. They're experts in like the narcissistic kind of like abuse tactic of right, smearing, what Nancy Pelosi called, what was it called, the something smear. Oh, I can't remember what the term was. Oh, I wish I could remember that. She described exactly what it is that the Democrats do, which is like just jump out and right, they are calling, and then they call the other person mentally ill, right? They call you crazy, they call you, they start they just smear you. They smear you and who you are and what how your worth and your knowledge and your standing, and right, in order to not have anybody focus on the fact that, like, they're liars and cheaters, right? They're liars and cheaters. The Democrats, sorry to say, are way less democratic than the Republican Party. And if that's where you're at in life, you should actually do a serious reevaluation of, if you're a Democrat supporter, serious reevaluation of what it is that you actually believe in. And most people, if they actually ask those questions and do the digging personally, and they really, they usually come to the grips with the fact that, like, neither party is going to help them. Neither party is the answer. Neither Trump nor Kamala is the answer. Neither, both choices are false. Something else. What's the other option? Wrap up smear. Thank you, Denver. That's what it was. The wrap up smear. They are experts in like psychological abuse. That's what they are. They're experts in denial, deflection, projection, all of those things. Lying with a straight face. Absolutely no ability for self-reflection, and unless somebody leaves the channel, CNN, I'm talking about CNN, right? The self-reflection is when somebody says, well, this will be my last show tonight. I'll be doing podcasts now on YouTube. I'll be taking on a role as an advisor or a, right? How many anchors, big name, big time anchors have left CNN over the last like 5-6 years? Out of like, I mean, because they were so pathetically shamed by their own, by their position, their role in the smearing and the lying and the, fear mongering and the, and the misinformation, right? And they all they could do was just, whatever. I'm gonna get to the chat. We're gonna get to chat. I'm gonna do some audience interaction in just a second. And in fairness, here's a Trump ad that's pretty crappy, trying to appeal to the. I have a story for you, real quick. New Trump ad appeals to old Jewish ladies who vote Democrat, urging them to switch sides on the basis of their deep-seated anti-Palestinian racism. So, I mean,
Did you watch the news lately? Israel's under attack, anti-Semitism like I never thought I would see.
Did you read about Samantha's boy Max?
No,
He got spit on just walking at Penn.
I mean, that's scary. What about Kamala?
Busy defending the squad.
Ay vey. Trump I never cared for, but at least he'll keep us safe.
I never voted Republican in my life, but I am voting Trump.
Amen.
Oh
RJC
my
Victory Fund is
God.
responsible for the content of
Oh
this
my
message.
Wow, that commercial is wild and kind of hilarious. Um, oh, oh boy. Oh, so here's my story. I talked to somebody yesterday who is a Jew who's going to vote for Trump. Basically, we had an interesting conversation about politics, and he was just basically like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. He doesn't live in this country, but he's an expat, and yeah, he just was like, the Democrats are ridiculous, and like all this, society is, pretty bleak. American society is pretty bleak, and all this kind of stuff. And he's just like, hey, I'm a Jew, but I don't think that Trump is anti-Semitic. He was just like, I like Trump. I was like, okay, just another like another odd day in LA. Getting a former Angelino, Los Angeles, native Jewish going Trump. And there we go. So if you want to know how it's going in LA, that's kind of how it's going. Not to mention the huge Trump rallies in Beverly Hills that are totally weird. Totally weird. It's the weirdest thing. Like, it's just something you would never, believe, but hard for, and I've seen a few of them now, and I'm just like, wow. All right. He had to go to housing court, William? I'm sorry to hear that. What's up, people of Rockfin? How you doing? Oh, you got the wrap-up smear right here. Okay, let's watch it. Shall we?
Down hospitals and the rest of it. So they don't want them to see that contrast. So they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody, with falsehoods and all the rest. And then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise.
Ooh, I forgot about that. She explains how manufacturing consent works. They don't even need you, right? Like, it's this thing that, like, if they really, you saw that a lot during like the first Trump administration when they're, running like all kinds of stories on him, it's true. That's what they did. They, did a whole bunch of like, wild ass stories. But, the press would report something and then the politicians would go, oh, we got to take this seriously. Or the politicians would say, like, we've found some information. It's very, and then the press would like repeat it. So you just need the government, the politicians, and the press to just bounce stories back and forth to make it true, for one, and then to make it a thing where it's like, well, do we need to do something about this? That's all you need. You don't even need, and then if, some portion of the population sees it on the news and they go like, oh yeah, that is a problem, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm really concerned. Then they can get, a good segment of the population on board, right? And like make it like a real thing. But she's just explaining how it works. You just say a smear is a lie. Basically it's a smear. I'm lying on you. I'm telling some bullshit on you. I'm gonna smear you with this, like, and then, you have to defend yourself. But like, if you can get the smear, the bounce between the politicians or the government and the media back and forth, you can get that bounce big enough, bounce it high enough, it becomes almost insurmountable usually.
The press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic. And
it's like the tactic. It's not a tactic. It's like the tactic. I mean, I guess that's why I was concerned. Geez, I'm sorry to hear that, William. That sucks. The building superintendent lied under oath. What a schmuck. Let's see. Saw some people in the YouTube chats and the Rumble chats, although I don't see too many of the people rumbling. Shani said, Asheville showed us that climate catastrophe can happen anywhere. Yeah. Nowhere is safe and nobody is safe. And, the people with money have the ability to escape or get out or change their situation quickly. While the people without money don't have that, obviously, ability to maneuver, but the wealthy sometimes get smacked just as easily as the poor. Just checking to see if I got any contributions to the show. JMW says, question, how many decades can the masses be distracted in the face of accelerating ocean rise? I don't know. As long as they can as long as they can possibly get them to be distracted. Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of wild because I've been doing this show for 7 years, and it's I feel like I don't know. There's been times when I was just like, man, it's never been more obvious that the climate is like falling apart, but like ever much more so now. Um, and it's weird to just watch it. And I don't know, I don't know. Just, you really have to just be on guard, be ready. And most of you already know all this. Be ready to skedaddle. And just know it's a thing that's happening. It doesn't really matter. Like, okay, we can debate about or not or whatever. We can debate about whether somebody's making a storm worse or somebody's making something happen, and like, um, I don't know. What are you gonna, what would you do in the face of that? But just taking in the overall picture of the fact that like extreme weather seems to be a thing that's happening, and is going to affect people, and and probably you eventually, wherever you might be, or whether you're just traveling. I've seen so many people over the last few years traveling, right? Just moving through, hey, I'm going to go on this trip, and, save my money, going to Italy or going to Bali or going to, and they had their entire trip just like derailed by climate change, basically. Like, oh, a big ass storm came and we were grounded for 3 days and like jacked up our whole trip. And, doesn't always happen, but I've seen that happen a lot. It's going to affect you. You're not going to escape it, so you can if you want to think that somebody's controlling all this, okay, but like it's something that's happened. I really do want to play this James Corbett video because I feel like it's a little bit like he has a video. I'm not going to play it today. And I absolutely love James Corbett's reporting. I really like, he is a, on a level of like Whitney Webb to me, of like work and work ethic. And I think I think he believes what he reports. But he has some video about climate change saying that like climate change is wrong because it explains everything. And he's like, if you have a theory that explains everything, it's probably wrong. And I was like, I get that. And yeah, if you look at some of the aspects of what people are describing as climate change, you can say like, oh, well, climate change just seems to have an answer for everything that's going, it makes it colder, makes it hotter, makes it, wetter, makes it drier, like, yeah, that can actually look kind of weird to some people, like, oh, climate change makes it drier, or is it wetter? I don't know, which one is it, right? Like, okay, fair argument, but this video had zero science in it. Zero science, like the whole theory of the video was that if it explains the theory explains all these different things, then it's probably false, which is, I don't know what, I want to just play it and kind of like react to it a little bit, because it doesn't really actually take into account like, well, people's actually, the actual observations of what we see going on. There was absolutely no like data or in this video, right? It was refuting climate change on the idea that if it explains everything, it's a bad theory. Okay. But you didn't actually give us any like, well, this actually proves that it's false, or this proves that it's, you didn't actually, there was no like data or evidence to actually back up your claim. And so that's a little weird to me. I was like, James Corbett. James Corbett. I have questions about this video. Just this one video. I like a lot of his work. Again, I'm saying this as a fan of his work. If you actually like look at the science of what happens, Right. The climate is, he doesn't understand that it's a system and everything is related to everything else. Right. Right. Like the explanation for why the winters might be harsher because of climate change. Well, climate change, the actual use of the term climate change in itself is indicative of, and people have a problem with the term climate change. I have at times, but it's indicative of the idea that global warming doesn't just explain, right? Everybody thinks global warming, oh, it's just getting hotter. That's all it is. It's just going to get hotter. It is getting hotter, by the way. It's getting hotter. Actual growing, what growing zones, the zones where certain things grow are actually shifting, north. They're shifting because why? Because it's getting warmer. The things, I have regular ass people telling me on the ground that I live in Ohio, I live in some northern climate, and we have things growing here that never would grow here before. That's because the planet is getting warmer. Like, just basic ass observations of the fact that it's getting warmer on this planet, that the seas actually are rising, that the storms are getting stronger. Anyways, on and on and on. Physics and observation. Exactly. And it's the same, right? The idea, oh, it's colder this winter because of climate change. Trump says stuff like that mockingly, like, oh, where did climate change? Where did global warming go? It's really cold this winter. Well, dude, it's cold because it's super hot in the Arctic, right? Did you catch the part where it's like so warm in the Arctic? It's not supposed to be that warm, and it pushed all the cold air out of the Arctic, and that's why, polar vortex, there's a term for it, and there's a thing that happens in physics and science and weather and, that actually produce these conditions. And, you might want to include that part in your thinking about it. Just saying. Permafrost melting, right? That's not something that would happen. That's not a one-off weather control thing. Permafrost cannot melt because Dr. Evil is controlling the weather. That it's just not. Permafrost melts because there's a gradual warming of the planet, right? There's a baseline warming of the planet, right? Permafrost is permafrost, permanently frozen. It's like that because the planet itself stays at a certain temperature. I'm just explaining really basic things. The baseline temperature of the planet stays at a certain, and that's why it allows for things like permafrost to exist, things that stay permanently frozen year round. That's permafrost. Permafrost is melting because why? Because the baseline temperature of the planet is rising, right? And it's allowing, like, oh, it's too warm for the permafrost to stay permanently frozen. It is now permamelt. This is just, just basic observation. It's just not that freaking hard. So, like, when you make videos like that and you leave all those actually data points out, it's a little weird to me. It's a little bit like, I don't know why. And again, everybody, people that are super duper intelligent know a lot of things about a lot, certain subjects, can be completely blind on other things because of dogma, right? Or because they just believe something and they're just going to believe it. And then you're not going to tell them any different. And everybody has that, everybody is susceptible to that fault. I am susceptible to those faults. I really try not to, like, believe in stupid shit, or believe things are true when they're not true. And sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, I believe this thing that I was like, oh God, but it's, easier for me to stop believing in things that are not true. Like, it seems like a better move for me personally to wake up and go like, I was wrong. Shoot, I was super wrong. Damn, I'll change my mind on that. It's okay. Yeah, it's still 80s here in the day, Judy Truitt. It's still, I mean, that's Southern California, but I got up last night to let my dog out and at like 4 in the morning, and it was warm. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and it was warm. It was like 70 degrees. It was like balmy. I'm like, dude, it is almost November. Like I'm walking outside. It is like 70 degrees at 4 in the morning when it should be like, I don't know, in the 60s, maybe even the high 50s. Just little things like that can make you go, dang, this is not normal. Definitely not normal that it's 70 degrees at 4 o'clock in the morning on October 25th. Like, yeah. Anyways, I've talked a lot. You guys have listened a lot. Thank you for listening. Talked about all kinds of stuff. Ooh, excuse me. This lady came on the left a YouTube comment. Like, I love when people make comments like this. She came in. She's like, "You're not saying anything. Bye bye." I was like, "Okay." If you have the energy to make comments like that on a video, like if you're watching somebody and you really don't like, I'm bad about like commenting or liking on things that I just don't care about. Or no, actually the things that I do care about. Like I'll be watching friends videos or people that I actually really like, and I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot I should actually probably like this video because it helps them out, right? But I even that, it's just hard for me to like actually get the energy to and that's just me. But people usually feel motivated to comment on something, when they feel like moved to do it or whatever. If you feel moved to go like, I'm out of here, whatever you're saying is stupid, then I have the energy to delete your comment because I just don't need the energy. I don't need the negativity, yo. Denver says, what happened to winter? We haven't had a winter in a bit. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think people just have a hard time. You're right, Judy. People have a hard time. Definitely have a hard time. It's not necessarily admitting that you're wrong, but realizing that the part where you realize like, oh, geez, I really messed up, or I really made a mistake there, or I really just didn't. Oh, dang, I feel, you feel a little foolish, maybe some shame, maybe, maybe some responsibility, maybe a heaviness, maybe like because everybody's ego needs to actually run on a little bit of like hope and positivity in order to like make it through the day. And when you feel like you've like failed on a large level, or you feel like you failed because you feel stupid or I'm messing up, like that can just be demoralizing, and then you can't move and you don't want it. Like it's just hard, that everybody knows this. It's hard to face up to when you were wrong, when you made a mistake and all that kind of good stuff. So those are difficult things for people to do. And when you're entrenched in a belief system, which can be your outlook on the global political arena, or your belief system can be anything. It's not just like God or who's moral and who's not, who's right and who's wrong, and what's real science and what's real, what's fake. Like, you can get wrapped up in a belief system that tells you, I can tell you every like political silo out there has some big fat lie in it, a really huge lie in it that everybody in that political silo is like, oh, totally. Yeah, that's totally the thing. And it's, I don't know, maybe that's mind, some kind of mind fuckery. Maybe that's there on purpose. I think a lot of people will say that that's what it is, some mind control. You get, if people believe they're getting the truth from somewhere, no matter where it is, a church or a podcast or a political leader, if you believe you're getting the truth from this person and you're like, yeah, like, then you are way more susceptible to believing like whatever it is this person or this podcast or this church has to say, right? You will believe a whole bunch, some things that may be completely way off base because you don't want to. That belief might be integral to who you see yourself as, If you see yourself as a good person, I think that everybody does see themselves as good people. You don't want to, like believing something fake doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person, but it can mean like you're kind of gullible and maybe you didn't, maybe you're not as smart as you thought you were. And nobody really wants to come to grips with that. Like maybe you're not as smart as you thought you were. It's better to remain a big dummy. All right. Ew. The horrors. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. I got to go. We'll see y'all on Monday. Until next time. Peace out. I'm trying to get out of here and I don't remember.